Love doesn't always end with closure. Sometimes it ends with silence, sometimes with betrayal, and sometimes with a truth you were never meant to find. This is Breakup Diaries. Stories about what really happens after love ends. There's a photograph from my wedding day that I cannot bring myself to throw away. It sits in a box at the back of my closet, tucked inside a manila envelope, underneath things I have not touched in over a year. I know exactly where it is. I just don't look at it anymore. In the photograph, I am at the altar. My dress is everything I ever imagined. My father is beside me, already crying. Marcus, my husband, is standing across from me, and his eyes are soft in a way I had never seen on him before that moment. And just behind me, holding my bouquet, is my best friend of 14 years. She is falling apart. Not the sweet, graceful kind of crying you see at weddings, the kind where someone dabs their eyes and smiles. This is different. Her jaw is tight. Her shoulders are pulled in. She is pressing her lips together so hard they have gone white. She is fighting something with everything she has. For 2 years, I told everyone those were tears of joy. I told myself the same thing. My name is Danielle. I am 31 years old, and I am telling you this story from the other side of the hardest 2 years of my life. Not because the pain is gone. It isn't fully, but because I finally understand what I was looking at in that photograph, and once you understand something like this, you cannot keep it inside. This is not a story about a cheating husband. It is not a story about a villainous best friend. It is not the kind of story where someone is purely guilty and someone is purely innocent. It is messier than that. It is quieter than that. And in a lot of ways, it is sadder than any of those things. Because the people in this story all loved each other, that was never the problem. The problem was the shape of that love and what it quietly cost every single one of them. I did not find out the truth from Marcus. I did not find out from Simone. I found it the way you find most things you were never supposed to know by accident on an ordinary Sunday morning, 2 years after the most important day of my life. And the first thing I thought, the very first thought, was not anger. It was not betrayal. It was one small, quiet question that has never fully left me since. How long had she been carrying this alone? If you are just joining us, welcome to Breakup Diaries. My name is Danielle. I told you earlier there is a wedding photograph I cannot look at anymore. A photograph where my best friend of 14 years is standing behind me at the altar and she is falling apart. Today, I am going to tell you why she was there in the first place, and why, for a long time, that made everything worse. 3 years before that wedding, I was 27 years old and life felt like it was finally arriving. Good apartment, work I loved, and then Marcus. We met at a rooftop birthday party in Atlanta. He asked me what I was staring at when I looked out at the skyline. I said the city. He said, "What does the city say back?" I thought, this man is going to be trouble, the good kind. Simone had introduced us, my best friend since we were 13. She said, "Marcus, meet Danielle, he's one of the good ones." She said it with a smile I can still picture perfectly. I thought she was giving me a gift. I understand that smile differently now. They had grown up on the same street. Childhood friends, he told me, ancient history. I never once questioned it because why would I? She was my person. She helped him pick my birthday gifts. She knew our inside jokes. When Marcus proposed at a lake house that autumn, Simone was the first call I made. She screamed so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. She was the obvious choice for maid of honor. She was the obvious choice for everything. What I didn't know then, what none of us knew, is that she had already been making a choice of her own. Quietly. Alone. For longer than I ever realized. Before we go any further, I need to ask you something. Have you ever loved someone so much that you let them go without them ever knowing? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Because what Simone did next, I still don't have a word for it. Make sure you are subscribed, because this story is only going to get harder from here. Wedding planning started in January, and something about Simone changed. Not dramatically, not in a way I could point to. She was still there, still answering, still showing up. But the warmth had a gap in it now, like a song playing in the next room. You can hear it, but something is muffled. Her texts got shorter. She missed our Thursday calls twice in a row. When I asked if she was okay, she said she was tired. Overworked. I believed her completely. I believed her the way you believe someone when you have never once had a reason not to. 6 weeks before the wedding, I stopped by her apartment unannounced. I had bridesmaids' gift bags in my car. I wanted to surprise her. She opened the door, and for half a second, something crossed her face. Something fast. Something she covered immediately with a smile. I told myself it was surprise. I know now it was panic. The apartment felt different, like the air had just rearranged itself. The couch cushions were slightly off, and on the coffee table, a glass, half full, with a perfect half-moon of lipstick on the rim. It was her shade. I recognized it. I registered it. And then I put my gift bags on the counter and talked about flower arrangements for 20 minutes and walked back out to my car. I have thought about that glass every single day since the truth came out. It was right there. The answer was sitting on her coffee table, and I looked straight at it and kept talking about centerpieces. Because I trusted her. Because it never once occurred to me that the person protecting my happiness was the same person quietly drowning in it. The wedding day was the most beautiful day of my life. I need you to know that before I tell you the rest. Because it was. Every part of it. My father cried the moment he saw me in my dress. Marcus stood at that altar, and his voice broke on the word, always in his vows, and I felt like the luckiest woman in any room I had ever stood in. Simone was flawless. Her toast was warm and funny and perfect. She held my hand in the bridal suite when I was nervous. She fixed my veil twice. She was everything a maid of honor is supposed to be, and she did all of it while carrying something I cannot imagine carrying through a single hour, let alone an entire day. I glanced back at her once during the ceremony. She gave me a smile so deliberate, so fiercely constructed, that I thought, she is so happy for me. I know now that is not what that smile was. That is the smile of someone who has made a decision to let you have something. There is a difference. I understand the difference now. In every photograph from that day, her eyes are wet. At the end of the night, she hugged me at the door of the venue. She held on a second longer than usual. She said, "You deserve every bit of this." And she meant it. That is the part that stays with me. She meant every word, and she was still the one walking away alone. I have watched a lot of wedding videos since then, strangers' weddings, late at night when I can't sleep. I watch the bridesmaids. I look at who cries and how. There is a difference between someone moved by your joy and someone grieving something they have already surrendered. I know that difference now. I wish someone had taught it to me sooner. 2 years into our marriage, Marcus sat me down on a Sunday morning and said he had something to tell me. He had the face of a man who had been carrying weight for too long and had finally decided that putting it down was worth whatever it cost him. He told me everything. Before the rooftop party, before I ever existed in his life, he and Simone had been in love, years of it. They had ended it mutually. She wanted to focus on her career. He had accepted it, but the feelings had never fully gone, not for either of them. And then he introduced them. He brought the woman he had once loved into the same room as the woman he was falling in love with, and he chose me. And Simone stood at my bridal shower, and at my rehearsal dinner, and at my altar, and she chose me too. She stepped back from his life months before the wedding, not with anger, for her own healing, for mine. I did not cry. I did not raise my voice. I just sat very still and thought about a lipstick glass on a coffee table. I thought about a half-second of panic at a front door. I thought about a woman screaming on the phone when I told her I was engaged. She screamed like that because she had loved him first. Everything I thought I understood about my wedding day, about my friendship, about my marriage, had just shifted underneath me. Like the ground was the same, but the map was wrong the whole time. And I kept thinking about one thing, not what Marcus had done, not what Simone had done, just how long. How long had she been sitting with this by herself? I called Simone 3 weeks after Marcus told me. 3 weeks of silence between us, the longest we had ever gone. I asked her one question: did you love him? She was quiet for so long I thought the call had dropped. And then she said, yes, but I love you more. That is the most devastating sentence anyone has ever said to me. Because I believed her, I still believe her. And it changed nothing about the distance that opened up between us after that phone call. Not because I hated her. I never hated her. But because some distances form not from anger, they form from what you can no longer unknow. Marcus and I went to couples therapy. We are still together. Some of you will disagree with that choice. I understand. But he told me the truth when silence would have been so much easier. I decided that counts. I still have the photograph. I looked at it again recently, for the first time in a long while. And I finally see what I could not see before. I see a woman who loved 2 people at once and chose to protect one of them, even at enormous cost to herself. I see someone who showed up for me on the hardest day of her own life and did not let me see a single crack. I see my best friend. I just don't know anymore whether that means I lost her, or whether she gave herself away long before I ever thought to ask. I want to ask you something before you go, not about Marcus, about Simone. Was what she did an act of love or an act of deception? There is no right answer. I have been sitting with both for 2 years and I still don't know. Drop your answer below. And if you have ever loved someone quietly from a distance just to protect them, this story was for you. I'm Danielle. This is Breakup Diaries, and I will see you in the next one.